It might just be like a matter of semantics, but I'm not familiar with the term monopolizing capitalism or monopolist.
Monopoly capitalism?
Yeah, monopoly capitalism. When you say that, do you think that capitalism innately monopolizes, or is it just? I mean,
yeah. So that's a concept from Lenin. The idea is that as imperialism developed in the beginning of the 19th century, and big projects like railroads and stuff like that were on the order of the day, it became necessary to concentrate greater and greater amounts of capital into smaller hands to fund these things. That was done through banking, and eventually that progressed to a point where banking capital on one hand and industrial capital on the other totally merged and formed finance capital and financial oligarchy. And the idea is that then in order to make massive amounts of money, these monopolies formed, and that it's the natural progression. We're not in, when Marx analyzed capitalism, it was early industrial competitive capitalism, and that has qualitatively changed into an imperialist world system that is also called monopoly capitalism.
So obviously, right, what it seems to me the FRSO's main directive is to get the actual party going, right? We need a vanguard party, we need to be making working class struggles. Obviously, I know the whole story from Leninism, right? Once we get sufficient mass, critical mass, right, we seize the state. Obviously, and again, I know you mentioned, right, you pulled Marx, Engels, Lenin, Stalin now, but is there actually a protocol that FRSO has in place, or is it sort of like, yeah, we need to build a party now, this is the first thing, and then assess the material conditions once we have the party and where that goes? Is it,
we have some ideas, but generally we see the seize the state stage of the revolution as being pretty far in the future, and that right now we're nowhere even close to building the party. We're working hard, but the Marxist-Leninist movement's been in decline since the early 90s, and we're trying to recover. I would say that if you want to compare and contrast, the Chinese Revolution on the one hand, protracted People's War, and then you have the Bolshevik Revolution on the other, which is mostly an urban struggle, insurrections followed by a civil war. I don't have a crystal ball, but I would think it would be the conditions in the U.S. are similar to the Bolshevik conditions, and the revolutionary struggle to seize state power will probably be more similar to the Bolshevik experience than the Chinese.
but on that note, do you think there's more important lessons that we learn from Mao as far as like sort of the actual seizing of the state stage, where again, like it's to more radical democracy and these sort of things? I mean, obviously at some point the state is necessary. Like most of us don't accept this, but right, for a revolution, the state's going to be necessary to actually be suppressing the other classes. But also, do you take the more of the lessons from Mao, where it's like, okay, but what we really need is radical democracy to be able to correct mistaken ideas and this sort of thing, rather than just sort of top-down bureaucracy? That's even a bad terminology for me. So let's go. Do it like
that's not an easy question, but I think that the socialist countries, past, present, have all given us examples of what socialism means to be like, and we can learn from all of them. As for Mao, obviously, even Lenin said we need a lot more democracy, and the way we'll organize it is will be both locally. There will be local organizations of people's power, and there will be national organizations for planning and that kind of thing. And there'll be a mixed combination of those things. And I don't know how to say exactly how it'll pan out. But
what are the dangers that you see are possible in creating unified fronts and minimal programs and things like that. Because when you evaluate more modern outbreaks of Maoism and things like that, specifically think of Nepal, they tried this whole sort of parliamentary style of debate, like they declared peace and then they have the 7-party peace agreement, and now it seems like they're working together with unified Marxist-Leninists and the Nepali Congress and things like that to kind of push together a minimal program. Obviously they're out of power now and they're kind of in the countryside and things like that, and working their way in all sorts of significant ways. But it seems to me like unified front and minimal programs can sometimes be useful and sometimes not be useful and actually be detrimental. What do you see the FSR doing to avoid some of those pitfalls?
The FRSO.
Sorry.
You know, that we're, you know, and I think that the struggle in Nepal is very complex. I'm not going to say that the comrades there are on the wrong path, but I don't think we would take a parliamentary road at any point. You know, obviously, the risk of the United Front is if you lose your independence and your initiative, and you Marxist-Leninists or working class people abdicate leadership to the bourgeoisie or the other classes that you're united with. If you give up, you know, Marxist-Leninist leadership, you give up leadership of the party in the United Front, you're screwed. That's the danger. And the only way to prevent it is to not do that.
So would the United Front programs best be organized, according to you, like under specific your leadership, and then other people that want to join in, but not to be?
I think the National Democratic Front of the Philippines is like a clear example.
Did you go more into that a little bit?
Yeah, I'm just drinking some water. So the National Democratic Front of the Philippines is an organization that involves dozens of revolutionary-oriented organizations from you know, different Christian groups, national, you know, minority nationality groups within the Philippines, and you know, all kinds of like you know, women's organizations, trade unions, all kinds of stuff, and they all participate in the National Democratic Front, which is overtly led by the Communist Party of the Philippines, and you know, the other organization that participates in the United Front is the New People's Army. You know, Mao said that you have to have that to win a revolution, you have to have 3 magic weapons. And those are the party, the United Front, and armed struggle. And you know, if you use all 3 of them correctly together, you can win. But if you use any one of them incorrectly or abandon any one of them, you can't.
I guess you mentioned that recently the growth is, since 2005, the growth has been a lot quicker. What kind of numbers, or how many people are in your organization? And then secondly, you mentioned that there are cadres who are, you know, like working full-time organizing. I'm curious how, if those people also have like side jobs, or whether they're able to get funding from the party, and if so, where that, you know, funding comes from to be able to support some people who work full-time.
So, not to sound weird, but as a matter of organizational security, there's a number of things that I'm not going to talk about, and all of those things are things that I'm not going to talk about.
What conditions do you think might have influenced the growth of the FRSO?
You know, the economic crisis played a big role. The upsurge in the immigrant rights movement played a big role, and you know, the growing anti-war movement until recently played a significant role. You know, mass struggles produce fruit, and Freedom Road has attempted to you know, get some of that successfully. And at this point, it's just like, you know, rolling snowball.
I guess I would ask, what other sort of, like, obviously FRSO is sort of its own thing with several involvement, but would you maybe speak to the sort of other organizations within the U.S. that you sort of align with here and there to, like, you know, sort of united fronts here and there?
You know, we work along with the Answer Coalition, which is, you know, the Party for Socialism and Liberation helps to lead.